Good morning, Sports Booth Nation. As always, I'm your host, Ethan Dobbeck. Once again, I am flying solo. Kade will be back soon, we hope. But we've got another fun, short episode for you today as we release our NFL Week 7 Power Rankings and break down how we sorted out the top 10. We also will give you our tri-season awards, which is where we essentially just give you both of our picks for MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, as well as Defensive Rookie of the Year. We will end it off by giving you guys two players that we each recommend you start this weekend, as well as two guys you should not play this weekend. Well, enough said. Let's go on and take it to the booth. Alrighty, we're starting it off with the power rankings for this week. We've got Arizona topping it off. I made a pretty easy choice. They're the only undefeated team, and they have not blinked twice. They are showing why they are undefeated and why they deserve to be a Super Bowl contender this year. Next up, we've got the red-hot Baltimore Ravens. These guys are looking good after that Week 1 fumble against the Raiders. They have just been on cruise control, nothing to worry about. Lamar's looking like an MVP. Both teams at the very top, Arizona and Baltimore, have players easily in the MVP talks. Next up, we've got the Rams. They've also been looking very solid. Had a little slip up against the Cardinals, but once again, the Cardinals are undefeated, so no surprises there. After the Rams, we've got Tampa Bay, who they did narrowly defeat. At 5, we've got Dallas, who has been very promising this year and looks like a very good contender as well. Green Bay, who has figured everything out ever since that Week 1 ugly performance against New Orleans. At number 7, we've got Tennessee, followed by Buffalo at 8, and that's just because Tennessee beat Buffalo this past week on Monday night. 9, we've got the Los Angeles Chargers, and number 10, we've got the Cincinnati Bengals. That's right, the Cincinnati Bengals. Just capping that off, we've got Arizona at 1, Baltimore, Los Angeles Rams, Tampa Bay, Dallas at 5, Green Bay, Tennessee, Buffalo, the Chargers, and Cincinnati at 10. Alrighty, moving on to the rest of the field, we've got Las Vegas Raiders at number 11, the Chiefs at 12, Cleveland, New Orleans, Minnesota at 15, followed by Chicago, Carolina, New England, Pittsburgh, and Seattle at number 20. 21 through 25, we've got Denver, San Francisco, the Washington football team, and the Indianapolis Colts. And rounding it off at the bottom of our list, we've got Atlanta at 26, followed by Jacksonville, the New York Jets, Miami, the New York Giants, Detroit, and Houston. Alrighty, and now I will be giving you guys the Sports Booth first ever tri-season awards. Yeah, that's right, the tri-season awards. Sorry, I had to kind of come to an idea with what we were going to call it, and that's what we're going with. Alrighty. But basically, we're just going to give you the MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, and Offensive Rookie of the Year. Starting it off, we've got the MVP. I'm going to go with King Henry. You know, Derrick Henry's just been an absolute beast. He currently has 783 yards, which is first in the league. He also has 162 carries, which is first in the league. He also has, topping it off of everything, he's got 10 rushing touchdowns, which is also first in the league. He also, just to add a little sprinkles on the amazing Sunday that he has provided us, he has 16 receptions for 138 yards. Alrighty, now I speak for Kade. I really won't argue his yearly or triannual awards, just because I have really no reason to. I completely understand why he's chosen each player that he's chosen, but I will debate him, which he can't debate back in as soon as we get to our start and sits of the week, which will be fun. I can just basically rag on his players and have no consequences. So that'll be exciting. But anyways, Kade chose Kyler Murray for his third of the season MVP. Kyler Murray is currently 144 for 145 for a 73.8 completion percentage, which is first in the league. He has 171,000 741 passing yards, which is 7th in the league, 14 touchdowns, tied 6th, and a QBR of 67.6, which is 3rd in the league. Completely understand, and just to top it all off, he is the only quarterback that is undefeated in the NFL right now. So, props to him for that. Definitely understand why Kade chose Kyler for that position. But now we move on. Next up, for the Defensive Player of the Year, Kade and I both have the same player in Trayvon Diggs for the defensive cornerback out of the Dallas Cowboys. He has undoubtedly just been an absolute force to be reckoned with. You can't even target in his direction. Through 6 games, he is first in interceptions with 7. He has 2 defensive touchdowns. He only has 142 yards on him in coverage, and he has 11 pass deflected, which is first in the NFL. So, without a doubt, he is both of our Defensive Player of the Year as of right now. And you know what? If quarterbacks keep trying him, he will win that award at the end of the season, without a doubt. Now we move on to the Offensive Player of the Year. Here, Kade said Derrick Henry, so I have absolutely no arguments with that. I mean, if you don't put him at MVP, you got to put him at Offensive Player of the Year so far. But myself, I went with Tom Brady. He currently has 2,064 passing yards, which is first in the NFL. 17 passing touchdowns, which is 1 behind the lead, so he is in 2nd in the NFL. And he has an average QBR of 66.4, which is 4th in the NFL, right behind Kyler Murray. So, with that being said, now we move on to our Defensive Rookie of the Year. Kade and I both agreed on Aziz Oligari. He currently has 16 combined tackles, 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and honestly, defensive rookies are not doing a whole lot this year in terms of production. Now we move on to our Offensive Rookie of the Year, where we both had the same award winner once again. We both had Jamar Chase. He currently has 27 receptions for 553 yards, which is currently 4th, giving him 20.5 yards per catch, which is tied 2nd in the NFL. And he also has 5 touchdowns in the. He also has 5 touchdowns. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm having such a difficult time talking today. He has 5 touchdowns, which is tied 4th in the NFL. Alrighty. Well, that wraps it up for our triannual awards. Congrats to all those winners out there. Hopefully we can get you on the show soon. But now we move on to our start and sits of the week. For our starts of the week, I personally have at my number 1, Cordarrelle Patterson. I just need to make this point extremely clear. You play this guy until he doesn't put up back-to-back top 24 weeks, and even at that point, I would still probably play him. The amount of passes he gets in a game is almost as good as top receivers. Playing from a running back position, he is only getting more and more carries. Look for him to be getting some more red zone touches, possibly getting some rushing touchdowns in there as well. I think he is an automatic start every single week. My second guy is Jaylen Waddle. With Tua back, Jaylen Waddle is an automatic start for me. He is without a doubt the favorite target for Tua, both in the end zone and all around the field. Look for him consistently to be a top 24 receiver so long as he has Tua on the field with him. Now we move on to Kade's top 2 players. At number 1, he's got Daryl Williams. I think this is because he showed extreme value in a very important position on one of the best offenses in the country. The only thing that I personally would argue with is that he is on a heavy passing option offense, and that could end up hurting you. I mean, if he doesn't get those touchdowns, he does not have nearly as good of a game as he had. Granted, maybe they just enjoy the way that he runs more than they did Clyde, and maybe they'll give him those red zone touches. So it could be very beneficial. I personally would not make him a starter if I had other options, but he is not a bad option if you need a running back. At number 2, Tyler Lockett. He has just too big of a role and too good of a player not to be utilized. Although he only had 2 receptions this past game, he had, I believe, 7 targets. DK is going to be distracted by the better DBs, or distracting the better DBs, and Geno just needed another week to build up chemistry with this team. So I expect a good week from Lockett. Those were his words. And I agree with that completely. The only thing I would argue is that Lockett is only dominant and only truly dominant because he and Russ have such a great connection. And I think that is definitely not there with Geno, and it would take some time to develop. And I don't think Lockett will be a viable start option until Russ is back. Alrighty, now we move on to our sits of the week. At number 1, Kade and I both share the same player in Allen Robinson. He's not even the number 1 receiver in fantasy anymore, and he hasn't had one start-worthy finish. And the offensive situation in Chicago is just gross. I wouldn't want to touch it unless it's a running back. I just wouldn't want to touch anybody on that offense. Alrighty, my second player is Tyler Boyd. Ever since Higgins returned last week, his targets have dropped a surprising amount, and he is now the 4th option behind Chase, Higgins, and Mixon. I wouldn't look to be putting him in your lineup unless one of those guys gets injured. He's honestly almost worth a drop unless you have a large bench. Kades' second player behind Allen Robinson is Miles Sanders. He just hasn't produced like he should. And the frustrating thing is that he's obviously extremely skilled and talented and would produce, but the Eagles refuse to let him get any kind of rhythm going and just take him off the field and not play him in the role that he's meant to be played in, and it is just so frustrating. So I agree with that one completely. So I agree completely with both of his sits. Alright, everyone. Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, check out our website at www.thesportbooth.com. That's right, thesportbooth.com with no S at the end of sport. Make sure you guys also purchase some sick gear through the website, perfect for whatever team or sport you are supporting this season. Also, make sure you purchase the picks anytime after 5 p.m. on Thursday for your chance to win 4 tickets to the regular season game of your choice in 2022. After review, the call in the booth says, "It is good, but wait, there's more." Make sure you guys tune in to our episode tomorrow where I will be giving you guys our picks of the week for the NCAA and for the NFL, as well as giving you a more detailed version of why our purchased picks are just inherently better than the picks that I give you on the podcast. And it's nothing to do with my prediction skills, it's just strictly how I'm able to give you information on a timely basis. But now, the booth says it is good. Have a bountiful day, everyone.